Hello, I'm Lee Hae-sung, host of Korea's Focus. Chambo, how have you been?
I've been excellent. It's been warm, but otherwise it's been great.
Did you know that today's topic is related to you?
Related to
A
me?
bit related.
Are we talking about charming Australians? What's today's topic?
Today's guest will be a hint for us. Please welcome director Lee Jin-young from Hawaii.
Hello!
Hi. Hi. It's very nice to meet you. It's my great honor to be here. I make films about Korean diaspora while living in Hawaii.
Welcome.
Okay, hello!
That's why you look so healthy. You're from Hawaii.
Yeah, I get lots of sun, living in Hawaii, obviously.
Uh-huh.
Vitamin D, the beach culture.
Right,
Vitamin D,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been there for 20 years?
I lived in Korea for 20 years, and then I moved to Hawaii, and I lived there another 20 years.
Wow. So half time in Korea and another half in
Exactly.
Hawaii.
Yeah. Hawaii is called Rainbow State.
Rainbow State.
Rainbow.
Yeah.
State?
Can you take a guess why it's called Rainbow State?
Is it because rainbows appear often
Yeah.
in Hawaii?
Oh yeah?
That's
Okay.
correct. There's another reason.
Okay.
I can give you a hint as where are you from?
I'm from Australia.
Originally from Australia,
Yeah.
right? But now you live in Korea.
Yes. that
I
is
am
correct.
originally from Korea, but then now I live in Hawaii. Can you take a guess from that point of view?
Something about migration or multiculturalism?
Right. Have you heard of the word diaspora?
Yes.
Diaspora. Yeah.
Diaspora, originally from ancient Greek, was commonly used to refer to Jews scattered across the world. But now it's broadly used to describe people who have left their homeland and settled in other countries, like Chambo and myself. Today's topic is Korean diaspora. It refers to Koreans living abroad, but regardless of nationality, do you know how many overseas Koreans there?
1 million?
There are 7.5 million.
7.5.
Yeah, that's a large number.
Unbelievable.
I know, over 180 countries. And considering Seoul's population being 9.7,
Wow.
7.5 is not a small number.
That's huge.
Now, but why are we discussing today, Korean diaspora? You might think that, the overseas Koreans have little to do with.
Well, if you look at historically, overseas Koreans have contributed a lot to the development of Korea.
And also their history is, Korea's history. And have you heard of a word picture bride?
Picture
Picture
bride?
bride. Brides or grooms who have to choose their partner through pictures.
Yeah, good guess. Yeah, picture bride is an important term when it comes to Korean diaspora history. Those are women, who had to choose their partner by looking at a picture. It's unimaginable, from today's point of view, but it did happen in the 1910s, and around 750 women went to Hawaii to get married after only looking at a photo of their groom-to-be. Yeah, I mean, they must have had a different reasons, either political or economical, but they really did make decision to leave for Hawaii. Obviously, it was really hard to settle down in a new country as a young woman. And how do you think they felt when they arrived in Hawaii?
Must have been a big culture shock.
Yeah.
Completely different world back then, right?
And it must have been very different from what they expected.
The groom in the photo looks quite different from the groom that you actually get to see when you arrive in Hawaii. Maybe my guess is they were working hard in the plantation.
Yeah.
And if I can give you a little bit of history about that, back in 19th century, in the late 19th century, many Koreans and Chinese and Japanese went to Hawaii to work on sugar plantation. And people believed money grew on trees in Hawaii back then. But after arriving, these men had to work like 11 hours a day. They got only paid like $15, $16 a month.
A month.
A month. And then,
Wow.
yeah, and most were single men and who found it hard to marry and start families. So farm owners thought of a solution that was a picture bride. In my latest musical documentary series, Songs of Love, there's an episode dedicated to a picture bride named Lim Ok-sun. Yeah, it's a true story. And at the tender age of 17, this courageous picture bride embarked on a journey to Hawaii. And I just wanted to share a story of this women who show so much love and dedication, you know, for their children and for us basically. And they really paved the road for the life that we enjoy now. And it was truly my honor to be able to create a story about them and share with other people.
And I also heard that this year was the most meaningful year for the immigrants,
Yeah.
Korean immigrants in the US.
Exactly, because it marks 120th year of the immigration history.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Songs of Love was initially created, you know, to commemorate that, you know, 120 years of the
Anniversary.
love and dedication that we, you know.
That's very meaningful. By the way, do you know that there are other Korean immigrants who have such a strong history?
Yeah.
They're called Koreans.
Koreans, yeah. So it's the Korean diaspora that were displaced and mainly are living in former Soviet Union countries like Russia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and there's a big community of Goryeo in Incheon as well.
They're, you know, Korean immigrants with the longest immigrant history. So even before the official immigration was started to Hawaii, these people, you know, the Koreans started their own history way earlier, and they had such a hard, you know, tough, you know, lives there. I know. So have you heard of the theater called the Goryeo-gukjang?
Goryeo-gukjang. No, I don't think so.
First time for me,
Yeah. So in Kazakhstan, there's a special Korean theater. That's the first national Korean theater outside the Korean peninsula. And for a long time, you know, even though neither the performers nor the audience understood the language, Koreans in Kazakhstan performed in Korean to safeguard their, you know, heritage and cultural identity. Later, I heard that they don't perform in Korean language anymore because nobody understands, right? But up until like recent years, they were speaking in Korean, and the audience doesn't understand. So they basically had to memorize whatever they had in Korean.
Wow.
It's amazing, right?
That's crazy.
Amazing,
Yeah.
truly.
Did you watch the drama Pachinko?
No.
Oh, yeah,
you?
I did.
You did, yeah.
It's a story about a Korean immigrant family moving to Japan during the colonial period.
Right. So it's about, you know, Koreans living in Japan. It's based on the novel with the same title, Pachinko, and following the novel's publication, it attracted like substantial attention internationally. And the author of the book, Lee Min-jin,
Oh, she became very famous.
very famous. Yeah, she's a 1.5 generation immigrant.
1.5?
Yeah.
1.5?
Who was born in Seoul but moved to the US at the age of 7. That's called, you know,
That's
we call them
1.5.
1.5.
Okay, good
Yeah,
to know.
but because she left, you know, very early, you know, when she was little, she forgot her mother tongue, which is Korean. So her primary language is English. So the book was written in English.
And she still wrote a novel about Korea.
Yeah,
Despite leaving so early. That's crazy.
Right. It's and then if you think about it, like Korean writer who had forgotten their, you know,
Yes,
her own
7 years old.
language and opened the door for the world to learn about, you know, the story of Koreans. That's pretty fascinating.
That is really crazy.
You must have seen various Korean immigrants in the US. So who do you remember?
Actually, my first documentary film, Words of Wisdom from the Rainbow State, is made up of 6 episodes. And in each episode, I had the privilege of, you know, to sit down with direct descendants of the very first Korean group that came to Hawaii back in 1903. So these are the descendants of the very, you know, initial Korean immigration group. And among these incredible interviewees, we've got, you know, Mayor Harry Kim, who made history as the first Korean descendant to become a U.S. mayor.
Wow.
And also Chief Justice Ronald Moon, who is also another pioneer who became the Chief Justice, you know, the first Korean to be the Chief Justice in the United States.
Wow.
And interesting is that, you know, Mayor Kim is actually the youngest son of a picture bride.
Ah.
So his mom came to the US, came to Big Island as a picture bride. And also it's fascinating that Chief Justice Moon's grandfather, both like mother's side and father's side, they were on the first ship that left Incheon Jemerpo in 1903
Wow.
to go to Hawaii. And, you know, if you think about it, like, it's just amazing. Within 1 generation, 2 generations, this Korean immigration group who left for Hawaii with really nothing, they raise their kids to become the first mayor and the first chief justice of the United States as a Korean immigrant.
They started from scratch.
Yeah. It's and then also both of them are really, they are well respected in Hawaii. Me living in Hawaii for 20 years, I always heard about their stories, and I was just so proud that they are, Koreans, and they really, put importance, of telling them as a Korean. They're really proud
I
of
feel
their.
very proud as Korean.
Yeah.
Seems like so many Korean immigrants are active in various fields.
Very spirit, exactly. By meeting these people that I, told you about, the Mayor Harry Kim and Chief Justice Moon. But in the beginning, it was, for me to preserve the history as much as I could. But then, along the journey, I realized, this is such a great opportunity to learn about, people, not just Korean, like people, how they leave their homeland and try to settle down in a new place. And, what's that thing that keeps them going? Because I myself is an immigrant too. So there are difficult times in the beginning when I first moved to Hawaii. So I wanted to find out, what's the the driving force for people to be able to, stand strong, in a new land. So it was really a very, very inspiring journey.
What was your driving factor?
I asked this one same question to these people that I met through the journey of Words of Wisdom from the Rainbow State. That was like, that the question was, what's the words of wisdom that you want to share with the future generation? It's not an easy life that we all have nowadays. Competition is getting, higher and, worse too. And they all said that two things that are in common. First was, don't ever give up.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
I like the spirit.
What they gave me was the incentive to be good. You try to be your best. You never give up, no matter what the competition is. You give it your all.
You can imagine these are the people who never gave up, no matter what the situation was. And they didn't give up their own life as a pioneer in a new land. And the second thing was always work towards, help others instead of thinking about just yourself. You have to think of others.
But you spend time just to make things better for others, not for you, but for others, and yours as well. It's going to be a very comforting end at the end of the road, because you'll be surrounded with good feelings.
Like
That was the
About the
two
community and
about the
society.
community, and then how you can give back. So these are the people I realized that they share whatever they have with another immigrants. And the Chief Justice Moon started this program that any people in Hawaii, when they go to court, they can utilize this free interpreter program.
Wow.
It's because Chief Justice Moon, he grew up with immigrants, family, and his parents' friends who didn't speak much English. So he knew what it's like to live in a new land as a foreigner. So
He experienced language barrier.
exactly. And then so he started this program, not just for Koreans, but for everybody who live in Hawaii, so that they can communicate, without any problem. So something like that, you always try to think of way to help others who are in difficult situations. So for me also, answering your question, I think that was the kind of driving force that to preserve these wonderful stories for our future generation, or my friends and everybody who might be inspired by this story. I thought that's something that I could do for the society I live in, to give back.
Very good cause, and you've done very well.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you very
I really
much.
appreciate your effort. So, will there be anything we can do to support Korean immigrants living abroad?
I feel like there seems to be an invisible barrier between Koreans overseas and Koreans living in Korea. Do you feel that?
Yeah, even when
barrier.
I interact with a lot of Australian-born Koreans,
Right.
there's
right.
always a bit of a cultural
Yeah,
crisis.
culture
Am I
thing.
Korean? Am I Australian? Am I
Exactly.
both? And that gap is kind of hard to overcome for a lot of people, I feel.
Yeah, I agree. And there are also a lot of times people think, why do we have to support overseas Koreans because again they don't speak the language and all that. So it's really we should really all try to eliminate those invisible barrier and work towards like fostering stronger connections and understanding between the two communities.
So I heard the Overseas Koreans Agency was established last June.
Yes, the Overseas Koreans Agency has been something the overseas Korean community desired for the past several decades. So with the launch of the Overseas Koreans Agency, we expect that exchanges and cooperation with overseas Koreans will become easier in the future.
Yeah, I hope the agency can help us break down that invisible barrier that we talked about. Do you know what will be the changes that the agency will bring?
So prior to the launch of the Overseas Koreans Agency, there were some difficulties because services related to overseas Koreans were divided among various departments. However, with the establishment of the Overseas Koreans Agency, various comprehensive services related to overseas Koreans are now provided by a single institution.
Ah, that sounds significantly more convenient, having it all in one center.
Yeah, I believe the agency will help Koreans in Korea have a better understanding of overseas Koreans and vice versa.
Yeah, there are other many overseas Koreans who need closer attention to, such as atomic bomb victims, Koreans from Sakhalin, and Korean miners and nurses sent to Germany, and overseas adoptees.
It's really important to look abroad, but even within Korea, there's about 2 million foreigners living here, which is about 4% of the population.
Wow, that's a lot.
So if we can give a stronger voice to foreigners, and if I can help out with giving that voice, let's give some support.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a great point. So today we talked about various Korean immigrants, Korean diaspora. So how was it?
I learned a lot. So I didn't realize that there was so much history towards overseas Koreans and that there's been so much effort going towards breaking down the barriers between overseas Koreans and Koreans within Korea.
For me too, as a filmmaker, today's talk has been an incredible opportunity, for me to to reflect on my journey. But also I learned a lot as well. Thank you so much for having me today here.
Thank you for coming here. So we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.